Lindsay told me last time after the Texas State game, I didn't look happy and I looked miserable. So I need to smile a little bit more. So I'll try to do that today. So coming off of a win that we needed, and it was important for us to go and play that type of game. I mean, I have a ton of respect for South Alabama, for their players and for their staff. And, I was really proud of our kids. I thought we went out there and I thought we played really tough physical football, which we pride ourselves on being that type of team. And I mean, I'm just tremendously proud of our defense. We had 5 guys that typically play for us on defense that were out. And we had not just the guys who stepped in and played well for them, but certainly the guys that the every down players that had to play a little bit more and carry a bigger load did it really well. I thought offensively we played the game we needed to play to win. We got out to an early lead. We hit some big plays down the field in the pass game, ran the ball really effectively against a really good run defense, and took the air out of the ball in the fourth quarter. I do think our special teams were really good. We were going into that game. That was certainly a concern. They had really very capable returners. They've got great team speed. So that was the first game I think this year that I felt really proud of the 4 quarters that we put together. And the challenge and what I told our team is like that can't be the event. That has to be the turning point, and that's got to be the momentum moving forward, because you turn the page and you put on this Arkansas State game. This team is not the same team that they were last year. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They've got this quarterback who's really got them rolling on offense. They're throwing the ball down the field. Their run game has improved, and on defense, they're really sound. And they're getting enough stops to go out there and give their offense a chance to win the game. So, you're playing against another team, and historically we've struggled in Jonesboro. I mean, even the games we've won have not been easy. And we know that this team, they're playing for a bowl game. What they're playing for. We're playing to get bowl eligible this week, and that's all that matters. That's a huge milestone in every season. All right, that's a major goal. That's something that you try to accomplish every year, and we have a chance to do it this week. So for us, without a doubt, this is the most important game of the year, and we have to prepare like it, and we got to go play like it. So, you always try to build off the things that you did well. And certainly, like I said, that needs to be the turning point, not the event for us. And, this week we'll get back to work and we'll try to take another step forward.
Coach, you mentioned about playing for 4 quarters, a game that you were being able to be proud of. Just how important is it going to be to build that level of consistency to put together 4-quarter games like that in the home stretch of the season?
Well, you have to. I mean, that's, you talk about if you really do it right, you should get better all the way through the end of the year. It doesn't matter if you have an old team, a veteran team, or a young team, particularly though, when you have a young team, you need to continue to get better to build momentum going into the end of the year and into the off season. But, for us, we're in position to go and do something significant in November, which is that's what you start out to do, right? You want to get to November with a shot, and we have a chance. But to do what we want to do, you can't be up and down. You can't let one of them slip. You've got to create that culture of consistency. And we've talked about that a lot this year. And our team's gotten better every week. We haven't won them all, but we've gotten better every week. And if we can figure out this, let's start a little bit faster, right? Let's keep our foot on the gas and let's go finish. Then we got a chance to finish the way we want. But, it's just an opportunity that we've got to go make the most of. So we've got to continue to play well all 4 quarters and all 3 phases.
How difficult is it to put that 60-minute game together when the other team is trying to do the exact same thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of respect for all the teams in this league. And, I think we've got great coaching staffs in this league that have won a lot of games and won everywhere they've been. And, you got really good players everywhere you go play, and they got scholarships and they get coached and they practice and they meet and they do all these things. So, I mean, they're real football teams, and every week you go out there, you have to, it's your will against theirs and your discipline and your effort. And so it's not easy. I mean, and it doesn't, just because you play 4 quarters doesn't mean you score every drive. It doesn't mean that, you stop them every time they get the ball. I mean, it means that you play with effort, you play with intensity, and you play team football the whole way through. So it's not easy to do because everybody goes out there and everybody wants to win on Saturday, regardless of what other people may or may not believe. No team didn't want to win the game. So, you got to go out there and you got to go fight for what you want. And, it's like I said, it doesn't get easier because every week you play, you got challenges and you got good teams and good players. So, that's the hard part about it, right? You wish that, you could roll the ball out there and know you're going to win, but it don't work that way.
You got a bunch of points, sacks, turnovers, fourth down stop. How big was the 3rd and 10 play to Neil Johnson to keep that drive going, which 2 plays later, Cavodi had the touchdown?
We had some huge 3rd down conversions in that game. Jake's touchdown was a 3rd down. Pete had a huge 3rd down conversion on a dig across the field that, Zion did a really good job and slid the pocket and threw it to him. That ended up leading to points. The conversion to Neil was a really good job. I mean, it was a flat route that they kind of cut loose on the motion, and quarterback did a really good job. That's where the progression starts. He started there. They cut it loose. He threw it to it. Neil did a great job getting the 1st down, get a touchdown off of that, which was to answer their 2nd touchdown of the half, which was huge. We needed it really bad. But even at the end of the game, when we're trying to take the air out of it, we converted some big 3rd downs and got some 1st downs that did not lead to points, but flipped the field, allowed us to eat another couple minutes off the clock, and and kind of keep the thing on ice a little bit. So, our 3rd down conversions, it was a little bit lower than our goal, which is around 50%. But, at the end of the game, I wasn't going to put the ball in jeopardy and do some of those things. I thought when we needed them, we did a really good job and got some.
Coach, why do you think the Cajuns struggle when they go to Jonesboro? Is there something about just the atmosphere, or what is it? Any idea?
I think they play really well at home. I mean, that this has been a rivalry for a long time now. I mean, I'm sure it started before I got here as a player, but whenever I played here, and it was hell, no one ever won on the road. I mean, it was always you won at home, and that was kind of all it was. So, I think that there's a little bit of that. I think they play really well at home. They've got a great place. They've got a great atmosphere there. I think their fans show up and support it, and I think they're always a good team. They're a well coached, good football team. It's not easy to take them whenever you're playing good teams.
Coach Cameron Whitfield, 3.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Just kind of talk about the performance that he had, kind of being a lightning spark for your defense.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I hope we can keep doing that. It was a Cam. Cam's played well for us all year. Going into that game, we knew and he knew he was going to have to play more with Tyler Guidry out right now. So, for us, it was you try to challenge players and you try to get them to understand the opportunities that they have and what we need them to do. And it's always fun when they step up to the challenge and play really well. And Cam's a guy that works really hard. He's got a lot of ability. This year he's grown up tremendously and played really well for us in spots. He was ready for the moment, and certainly, I mean, my goodness, he did a great job. I'm sure Cam will be the first to tell you it's never just one person. I mean, great coverage on the back end, makes them hold the ball. One of them, the touchdown, Bayless does a great job on the other edge. Gets the quarterback to step up, tighten the pocket. Cam just keeps playing. Coverage is good on the back end. He comes in and does exactly what he's taught to do. He wraps up, swats with the other hand, ball comes out, and we were able to scoop and score it. So, it's coaching, right? Being coached the right way to do it the right way. It's taking coaching, right? And having the humility to be coached every day to go out there and go do it the way you're supposed to. It takes ability naturally, and it takes your team. If guys are wide open, you ain't getting a sack. I mean, the ball's out. So Cam did a really good job and capitalized on the opportunities he had, and we're going to need him to continue to play really well for us. I mean, if we can get, not that you're going to get that performance every week, but if we can get our defensive line, who has continually progressed every week of this year, they've played better throughout every game that we've played. If we can continue to get them to grow and develop and play better week in and week out, you've always got a chance when you play great defense. And I've said this, I'd rather be great on defense than great on offense any day. I mean, you always got a chance when you play great defense. And, we're all about finding a way to win. And if that means going out there and having a slugfest that you got to win on defense, and so be it. But those guys are getting better when we need them to.
You talked about playing great on defense. 5 turnovers, 5 sacks. you hold them to 13 points when it really means
Sure.
something. Is that the best y'all have played on defense?
This year for sure. Yeah, this year for sure. I mean, and it was, there were a lot of moving parts now going into that week. With Agu Wednesday afternoon, find out Thursday morning he's not going to be able to go. We get there, we got a guy that's sick that can't play, that plays a lot for us. And you knew you were already out a couple of them. Cortland didn't play the whole second half. KC didn't play the whole second half. Yeah, I mean that was it was really well done. And hats off, our defensive staff. They had those guys ready to go. They had them ready to play. And when you got a bunch of players, right, that are fighters, that are gritty, that are tough, you always got a shot, man. And our guys, they don't see why they shouldn't be successful. They don't see why they shouldn't be able to go out there and go play well. And when you play with that type of confidence and toughness, you always got a chance. So that was the best they've played all year on defense, and we needed it. I mean, that was a really good offense, a really good football team.
I know it's still very early in the week, but do you have injury updates on any of those guys?
No, we don't.
Time for a couple more.
As far as when you looked at film, who played well, like who stepped up, like in the secondary wise, that made that happen, what you just described, even though on paper it looked kind of iffy going with all those injuries?
It's total effort, right? And it always is. You know what I mean? Like it's defense is football's funny, right? You can have 10 guys exactly doing what they're supposed to do, and you got one of them that screws it up or is on the wrong page. It's a touchdown, right? I mean, that's the way it works. It was a total effort, and it was a collective effort. It's the communication on the back end. T. Lou has done a great job all year of communicating and leading on the back end. Tyree Skipper played really well. Jalen Clark played 50-something plays, I think, on defense. That's the most he's ever played really well. Keon Martin has been a staple for us all year. We made him play in the boundary, which is not ideal for us. He's not the ideal body type for a boundary corner. He doesn't care. To him, it's corner, and he's going to go play, and he's going to go hook it up, and he's going to scrap. He did that. Our linebackers played really good in their drops. They dropped in the windows, kept things in front of them, rallied to the football. I mean, it's a total effort, I think, whenever you look at it. T. Lou's 2 interceptions were huge, obviously. But, really on the back end, for the most part, certainly there's exceptions here and there. There always are, right? But those guys on the back end, just collectively as a group, we're all on the same page. We didn't give up a bunch of big ones that ended up really hurting you. We were able to get the ball on the ground even when they did complete it and get some yards, and you play the next play. So just collectively, I thought it was a great effort, from all those guys in coverage. It allowed us. I mean, we played 3 or 4 man fronts. We didn't pressure. We played light boxes, and the coverage was there so that the effort, right, the second effort and the strain is basically what got home a lot of times.
Did Jalen play a different role or just more down maybe?
More. He and Cortland pretty much play the same position. So he played a lot more. Cortland does a lot for us. But we did play some 3 safety stuff against them, in situations, especially at the end of the game. It's like, we're not going to be stupid here and give them a big one. So he had to play a lot more, where we had we had T. Lou, we had Skip, and we had Jalen all in there at the same time.
Coach, when it comes to you guys' running game, playing extremely well throughout this entire year, how proud have you been of the entire unit, the backs, the offensive line, to put things together to make the run game successful?
That's all we heard about last year, was, and we knew it. I mean, we didn't play to the standard that had been set here. And no one ever wants to underachieve. No one ever wants to let your organization down, let your team down. And, we knew that. We knew there were a lot of reasons why. But we were hell bent this year on getting back to that. And, that offensive line, I mean, I told you guys this in the offseason. They were different from day one. Whenever we got in that indoor and we did our offseason workouts, the focus was totally different. Those guys have strength. They have busted their tails to make sure they're on the field. Every day they have been in there. They've been out there practicing. Those guys don't miss days. They've worked their asses off. Our tight ends play great on the edge, and our running backs, I mean, they've stepped up tremendously this year. None more than Jacob Caboti. But I mean, Draylon Washington every week pops off some runs that you're just like, man, that's really impressive. You know, Zylan Perry's had his moments, right? He needs to continue to come on. Those guys have continued to get better. And, you know, a lot of it, quarterback makes good decisions. The threat of him as a runner is always something that we're going to use because that's what he's really good at that as well. But I'm really proud of our offense and being able to get that thing back going because if you cut us open to our core, that's who we are and that's who we want to be. And I think that comes down to toughness. And, you know, we've talked about this as a team all year. When people turn on the tape, you know, we want our trademark to be effort and toughness. And nothing says that more than running the football. And, you know, to be able to run the ball against those guys effectively like we did was really something. It was something that we had to go do coming off of that Georgia State game where it wasn't as good as we wanted it.
What's Arkansas State, since they made the quarterback change, what are they doing different? What are they doing better?
Not doing much different, honestly. It's their scheme is very similar. I mean, they haven't handcuffed this guy now. I mean, he's throwing the ball down the field. They're taking shots down the field. If they get you in one-on-one coverage, they're going to throw it. I mean, doesn't matter if it's first down or third down. I mean, the 3rd and 1 or first P and 10, you know, off a possession, they're going to throw it over the top if they have a shot to, and they do a good job of it. They've got good receivers. I think what helps a little bit is the threat of him in the run game. You know, where, you know, is it split flow or is it split flow with a zone read? Well, you know, if it's split flow with a zone read, you better have some hats for that. Well, if you have a hat for that and it's split flow and then it creases. So the threat of a quarterback being able to run and being able to be a weapon in the run game is always something that on a defense that's difficult and that's hard. But they haven't changed what they do. I think this kid does a really good job of running the offense, and I think, you know, they give him reign to go out there and go do his thing, and he's done a really good job of that. He's made good decisions.